Hi everyone. In this session, we'll learn about data preparation. We'll try to learn what is data preparation, why do we use data preparation with some of the examples. So, what is data preparation? So, it says data preparation is a process of preparing raw data so that it is suitable for the further processing and analysis. The key steps included in the process of data preparations are collecting of the data, cleaning of the data, and the labeling the raw data, okay, into a form that is suitable for exploring and visualizing the data. So that means here we are going to take raw data. So in that particular raw data, there might be a lot of null values, there might be a duplicate values, or you might not have a proper headings defined for that. So you want to do all those particular things. So that case, we can take this particular data for the further processing or using for the data analytics purpose. So when you look into this particular concept, it says, so data preparation is having your raw data, so which might be a good data, but it might still contain some kind of empty rows, it might contain some kind of a duplicate rows, or it might contain like headers are not being recognized or something. So that we need to convert to an analytics ready data. So you need to convert this raw data to analytics ready data. So to convert this one, so we use something called the pipeline. So in the pipeline, what happens, we transfer the data. When you're doing this, we perform this transformation. Transformation is nothing but identifying the headers, rows, and all those things, and then cleaning the data. So if you have some kind of a null values, how do we handle those particular things? If there is a duplicate values, deleting that. And also filtering is sometimes like you might have a lot of data of different regions or different countries and things, and you want only some selected data for the analysis. We can also apply the filters, and you can take only the data what is needed for doing the data analytics purpose. Okay, this is the main purpose of going for this data preparations. Now in this one, we have a lot of process we do for preparing this data. Some of the data preparation process we look into is identifying the headers. Okay, so that means if the headers are not being recognized by your Tableau, how we can make it recognized, we'll look into that. So unpivoting the data, see, generally pivoting is what converting your row by row data to a tabular row by columns data. So unpivoting is going to be the vice versa. You already have the data in a Tableau format. You already have a summarized data, but I want to desummarize it. I want to get this particular tabular data, row by column data, into row by the one below the other rows data. Okay, converting it. So that is your pivoting. We'll look into that. And also replacing the null value. So that means sometimes, in your data you might have null values, and when you mainly perform some kind of arithmetic operations with the null values, your arithmetic operation might return a result as null. Okay, because there is one single null value is there, and the whole output might result as null, because any number multiply into 0, it is going to be 0, something like that. I say no, I want to consider null as 0, or I want to consider as the empty values. So let us see how do we do that. And the next thing is, we'll also look into how do we split the columns for the granular analysis. See what happens, sometimes you might have some kind of address column which has a combination of country, region, state, city, and you want to see the analysis of the data where I want to see the country wise or region wise or the city wise. So when you have a subjective address, you'll not be able to do the analysis. So there will be a requirement where we need to split. We need to identify the country, region, city, states, all the information. So might be based on some kind of a delimiters, and we'll just see how do we do those particular things with the help of the Tableau. So in this particular session, so we'll see about the different process of data preparation. There are many processes. We have taken just some of these things. We'll look into this particular things. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and see one by one. The first thing is, we'll see how do we identify the header rows, and we can remove. Let us take an example. I just have my Excel sheet data, which is something like this. Let me open my source data. When I look into this particular source data, I want to read this particular data into my Tableau. When I try to read, this is my Excel sheet, okay, and I have the data from here. This is my A1 column, and you can see in this, I have the column which has been merged. Okay, first thing is it is merged, A to M, all this has become as a single column. You can see all this is A1, and you have some subjective data. So I'll not be using this data for my analysis. Okay, this is the kind of a heading what has been given. So that is one thing. Second thing is, like, when you look into this one, is again, what happens, second row is also been merged. Okay, this whole thing has been merged. Okay, and the third row we have this particular splitted columns, but you can see the first three rows data we don't require. So this is the data which is in the different no particular standard formats. What is one thing, because we have some merged columns and some columns with the splits, and apart from that we do also have some kind of a data which we don't use it for the analysis purpose, like headings and all these things. Fine. So what is needed for me is this particular data starting from the row 4 till this. So this is the data on which I can do the analysis. I can do some kind of a summarizations. So now let us see how do we read this particular data. So for doing this, let me open my Tableau. Okay, and I'm just reading this particular file. Okay, so sales data pivot, this is my file name, so which I'm just trying to read this particular file. You can see, so this is the file name, and when you read in this particular file, I have a sheet 1, so I'm trying to read the sheet 1. So when you read this particular sheet 1 here, so let me just drag and drop into my Tableau. So when you see here, when I just drag and drop this data into my Tableau, so my Tableau, what happens is it is reading this particular data which is in this particular style. You can see there is no headings. Okay, there is no proper headings. Okay, so what is happening is this is considered as a field 1, field 2, field 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on that basis, you can see the names are given as F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, F7, and so on. And then you can see below that we have this particular descriptive information what is there, and you can see this particular is null. So that means there is no proper headings. Now what I want is, I just wanted something like this. I want this to be the headings. I want this to be as a headings, and I don't want to consider this as the headings or null data, or all these are like a junk. I need to do this particular remove. This is a kind of a transformation. So what we need to do it. So when you have some data which is okay, we are expected in this particular style. So now let us see how do we do this. If I have to do this in Tableau, it's very simple. So we can just see in your data source tab itself. That is, we are in the data source tab, is it? In the same tab. So we can see here, we use data interpreter. Okay, so we have this thing called as use the data interpreter. That means we are giving the Tableau, we are telling the Tableau, see, look at this particular data. So here we have a lot of junk values and all these things. So try to recognize what is the actual data needed and pick only that particular data. So we'll just tell it to the Tableau. So as we know that Tableau has a kind of a built-in artificial intelligence. It senses the data and things, and it automatically assigns the respective data types and all. So let us see whether it will remove this and it will consider this as my headings. So I'll just check this. We can see there is a small checkbox here. I'll just check this. As soon as I check this, so you can see your data is getting transformed. Okay, as soon as you check this one, so you can see your data is being transformed, where you can see this has become as a first row as a heading, like segment, region, okay, and every month sales data. So what is there? It has become as the headings. So that means it said segment is the heading, region, Jan, Feb, March to December. Fine, cool. We got this. Now this data is ready, and now what I can do is I can just go to my sheet and then I can do the analysis. What is the total sales? Okay, all these things. Hey, but again you can see when you look into these measures, we have Jan to December. Okay, and so if I want to know what is the sales happen in the month of April, just select this. So this is going to be the only April sales, this is going to be the August sales, and this is going to be December. So like you're not able to get the data in the proper Tableau format or something. The reason is see, when you look into this particular data, is what is it trying to say is it's a consumer in North region, January we had this much of sales. Okay, for the consumer North region, January there's a sales. But now as a data analytics, what I want to do is I want to do the analysis like what is the total sales of consumers. So this is the consumer segment, and total sales of consumer is nothing but it is going to be the sum of this value. Okay, I want to know what is the total sales of consumer in the North region. So there is a consumer and the North region, and this is the various month-wise sales. So sum of this, the blue color highlight circled one, no? So that is going to be the sum of consumers of the North region consumer sales, what it is. So corporate segment. Okay, in the North region, this is the sales, and this is the total sales of the corporate segment. So I want to do this kind of analysis. if I have to do this, so what is that I want is I want the data in the form of a rows, not in the tabular format. So that means this is like a pivot table. Okay, so I want the data like segment consumer in the north region. For the month of January, we had a sales of 1800. Consumer in the north region, for the month of February, we had a sales of 8900. This should be another row. Okay, so this should be another row, like say consumers for the north region has done, and for the month of March they have done the sales of 4000. Okay, I want to convert this into rows. Okay, if I have to do this, this we call as the unpivoting. Let us see how do we do this unpivoting. So if I have to do this, what is that I need to do? I want to retain this two columns, that is segment and region, but whatever the January to December sales is there, I will select this one and convert this to the pivot. So what I'm doing here, I'm just selecting this particular, what you say, January to December, and you can just right click anywhere in the selected this one, and you can see we have a pivot. Just right click and you can see you have a pivot. Okay, so just do that. So just hit on the pivot here. As soon as you hit on this pivot, you can see consumer north region April, this is sales. Consumer north region August, this is sales. Consumer north region December, each month for that consumer. Then again consumer south region Jan, Feb, March, April, this one. Consumer for the east region. So it is like this. Now what is the advantage of this one is when you have the data like this. Okay, now let us do one thing is let me give the names here, pivot field names and pivot field names. These are nothing but the month name. So I'll just rename this as, how do we rename? Yeah, we have a rename here. I'll just say month name. Fine, good. And this is the sales value. So I'll just select this, right click this, rename. I say sales amount or whatever it is. Okay, so I just rename this column so that when you go to the sheet, you can see here. So we have a sheet, sales is the measure, month name, region, and the segment. Now you can do all types of analysis. Like I say example, I want to know region wise what is the sales. So it says, okay, total sales in the east region is 1,48,000, north is 1,30,000, south is 1,29,000, west is this. Now I want to see the segment wise. Okay, so that means you can see here the same thing, 1,48,000 was there, no? So we can see that is divided. East region, consumer is this much, corporate is this much, north region. Okay, obviously you can get the row totals and column totals that we know. Here I can just go to the column grand total to get the grand total, how much of consumers, how much of corporate. So we can get the, the row totals, which is telling me what is the sales for each region wise. I can get this analysis. Okay, so now I want to see the month wise analysis. So I can just do like this, no? So I'll just go to the month name into rows, and I want the sales, cool. Okay, and I want to see this in the each region wise. So I'll select the region into the columns, cool. Okay, fine. So we are able to get all those different types of analysis and visualizations where you can do it very easily. Okay, this is where we have done this particular converting your raw data, so which was actually this kind of a data. So first thing was it was not able to recognize, there was no headings, there was a lot of subjective data and all. We had to skip all those particular things. We had to say this is the data to be recognized, and then converting this particular transformation, so which is actually in the form of a summarized data in the tabular format, row by columns. I'm converting to the row wise. Okay, so we have done this one. Clear? Okay, this is one step of we have identified the header rows and we also done the unpivoting concepts. Okay, fine, this is clear. The next thing here is we'll see how do we go or replace the null values. Again, very important here. Let me show the example here. Why do we actually need the null values? Let me just take another sheet, Tableau here. I'm just reading this particular product with the null values. Let me show you the Excel file how it is. Okay, I just have this thing called as So when you look into this one, I've just taken a simple data here. In the real time, there will be a lot of null values and all this thing. When you look into this, I just have some products name. What is the price I say they have? Okay, so this is the unit price and this is the discount. Now what I want is, I want to know what is the total amount, that is the billing value or total amount. Okay, amount is what? See, this book is costing 65 rupees for me. And then what I want to do is, there is a 20% discount given. So if 20% discount is given, so your amount is going to be your 60%, say 20% discount has to be removed. So 20% discount of 65 is going to be 13 rupees. It has to subtract 13 rupees from here and it has to tell me. So 65 minus 13 is 52 something. Okay, so we need to write that particular formula. But when you see this particular chairs, okay, is costing 300 rupees, but when it comes to a discount, I have not given any value. That means I'm not giving a discount. Instead of giving 0, okay, I've just left it blank. When I left it blank, leave it blank, and when I try to do this particular calculations, I might get the output also as blank, because in the one part of the expression is null value. So in that case, what I want to do, since you're subtracting the discounted amount, if the discount is not been given, let us give that as a 0, so that you will not do any kind of a discount. So whatever the price is there, that should be the amount. But in this case, there is a 20% discount. For 65 rupees, 20% discount is 13 rupees. It should be 65 minus 30 is 13 is 52. Okay, so here you can see 225, 10% discount is there. 10% discount of 225 is 25 rupees discount. 225 should be this one. So we wanted something like this. So let us import this particular data and things. Yeah, I've just imported this particular data. When you look into this particular data here, okay, we just have this same thing, null values and so on. Now if I have to do this analysis, I want to know what is the actual amount. Okay, let us see how do we do this. So actually I have not renamed the column, which is not done here. No problem. I'll just go to the product name, actual price. This is the unit price. Okay, and this is the discount which is there. Now I want to know what is the billing amount. I have to calculate the billing amount. So billing amount is nothing but your actual amount. So your billing amount is going to be your actual amount minus the amount into discount, is it? Okay, thanks. Is that? So that means if I have to know the billing amount, it is like this, no? Billing amount is like, actual amount is 65. So 65 minus 65 into 20%. Okay, so that means it has to subtract 20% of the actual amount from this amount. That is going to be the billing amount, is it? So if it is 100 rupees is the actual unit price and we are giving 20%, so it is 100 minus 100 into 20. 100 into 20 is like, 20% of 100 is 100 into 20% of 100 is 20. So 100 minus 20 is going to be 80. So something like that we have to write the formula. So let us see how do we write this. Okay. So for this, I'll just write a simple calculations here. Let me go to the calculated field because I want to know what is the billing amount. I want to know what is the billing amount. So your billing amount is going to be nothing but the actual amount. Okay, minus amount. Okay, into what is it? Discount. Amount into discount. That's it. I'll just say apply. I say okay. Now when you add this billing amount, so you can see here, okay, this is my billing amount. So it says 65 rupees is the book price and 20% discount, 52 is the selling price. I said 13 rupees, 10% is 6.5, 20% is 13 rupees. So from 16, 13 minus is 52. Okay, from 250, 10% is 25. So my 250 minus 10% of that is 25 minus 25, it is 225. We are able to get this. But here what is happening in the case of chairs? In the case of chairs, since there is no discount, so when you subtract this null value, whole output is becoming as null here. Okay, the whole output is becoming as null. So in this case, I want to say no. In this case, if there is no value there, replace that with 0. That means don't subtract any discount. That is what I want to do. So if I have to do this in Tableau, what is that we do is, so we just modify, we add a function called as Zn. Okay, so we just go to the edit function. So that means we write this function Zn. What is that we do? Yeah, so we'll just go to this particular billing amount, edit the formula, and I'll just say the Zn is 0. Okay. If there is null value, replace that null with a 0. Zn is 0 replace 0 with null values. Okay. thing. So okay, or I can say replace the null value with the 0. That is what is the meaning of 0 null. Okay, zn function. So I'll just enclose this within this function zn. Okay, and I'll just say apply, say okay. As soon as I say apply, you can see in this case, when there is a null value, it is considering as 0. That means it has to subtract 300 minus 0 is 300. 10 minus 0 is 10. But here when there is a value, okay, 30% discount, for 500, 30% discount is 150. So after discounted amount is 350. For 65, 20% is after discounting 52. Okay, so this is where you have a null value, but I want to convert that null to 0 based on the kind of expression required. So I've just used a simple calculation here as Zn, and we have replaced it. Okay, this is one scenario of cleaning the data, identifying the null value. So most common problem is this: when you pull the data from the different sources, they have stored the value of null, or maybe the reading is not recorded and things. So now in that case, we need to replace with the alternate value and go ahead with the calculations. Okay, that was with the identifying the replacing the null values. Next is in the data transformation. So we'll see how do we use a split columns. Hey, what is the split columns? See, when you look into this particular thing, so I just have this particular sales data here, and in the sales data, when you see here, we have a order ID, order date, ship date and things, and we have a product ID, and we have a sales also. But address, it is stored something like this. We have the state name, city name, region, okay, city name, state name, region name, and the country name. Okay, we have India, we have the data from United States also, all these things. Now what I want to do is, I want to do an analysis region wise how the sales have happened, country wise how the sales have happened, or state wise how the sales have happened, city wise how the sales have happened. I want to do this analysis. So with the help of this kind of data, you'll not be able to do the analysis. So now let us read this particular data and we'll try to do the analysis. Okay, fine. I'm just reading this particular data. So I've just read this particular data with the null values. Now I've just imported this, and you can also see here I just have this address or something like this. Now if I try to go to this analysis, and if I do the analysis based on the address, so you are getting it like this, your address is like this. Yeah, address is coming like this, and then if I go to the sales, you are just getting, but I say no, I want to see the country wise how the sales have happened, the region wise how the sales have happened, city wise or state wise how the sales have happened. I want to do that analysis. If I have to do this, so this will not work out. Okay, so I need to split this addresses, and you need to see one thing here. When you observe, when this particular data is being stored, okay, with all the combination of city, country, state, and region, so they have used certain standards to split this data, or based on which they are differentiating. So you can see there is a comma after every every part of the address, there is a comma. So we have a city name, we have a state name, we have the region name, and then we have a country name. Okay, now I need to split based on the comma separator. So whenever you get this kind of a data, there'll be some kind of a patterns. Okay, we need to identify what is the pattern based on which we are going to split this. Okay, so we understood the pattern is we have a city name, state name, region name, and the country name, and all these are separated with the comma. So I need to split based on the comma. So what will I do? I'll just right click on this, and I'll just say call custom split. So I need to split based on the comma delimiters. So that is the reason I'm telling as a custom split. Okay, so what I did, right click on this, I say custom split. Now based on what you want, I want to split based on the comma. Okay, so based on the comma I want to split, and here we have a split first or only the last. I say no, there are many values with a comma separator. First city, state, and everything is there. So I want to split all with commas. So what I will do here is I'll just select all. Okay, and I'll just say it as okay, and you can see now you would have got this address is there, but apart from that you can see you would have got this 4 additional column. This is a split of address, split 1, split 2, split 3, and split 4. So now split 1 is what is the name of the city. I'll rename this as city. Okay, and this is your state name. I'll just rename this as state. Okay, and this is the region. I'll just say rename this as a region, and this is my country. I can just rename this as country. Yeah, I've done this. So now what I will do, I'll just go to my sheet here, and you can see we got this particular columns. Now you can create a hierarchy. Okay, we have a country. Under the country we have a region. I can just put inside this, and I'll just say these are something to do with locations. I'm just creating a hierarchy here. So we have a country, region, and under each region we'll have a state. Under each state we'll have the city. Fine, I've just grouped this. Now you can see here what I will do is I'll just go to the location wise. I want to know what is the sales. I'll take the location into rows, and I want to know what is the sales have happened. So we can see in the location we have two things here. One is India and the United States, and you can see the India may we have a sales of 4,59,000, and United States we have a 58,10,000 ka sales have happened. Okay, now in India we have the different regions. So we can see when I just expand this, in India we have 4 regions: north, south, east, west. We can see how the sales have happened. In United States we don't have a north, we have central, east, south, and west. So you can see how the sales have happened in the each region. So further, if I drill, so you can see the state wise, I'm able to do this particular drill options here. Okay, and you can see under east region we have Bihar, Chhattisgarh. So in south region of India we have Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and things. Under each state you have a city. You just expand this, yeah, city wise. Okay, in the Odisha we have these 2 cities. Okay, so under Karnataka you can see Bangalore, Belgaum, Bellary, Gulbarga, all these are the cities. Fine, I am from Bangalore, Karnataka. Cool. It's okay, fine. So we are able to see this. You can see the same thing in United States, central. So in the central we have this particular what is a state. Under each state the cities, and you can see each cities may how the sales have happened. Now I say no, I want to see state-wise sales or region-wise sales. You can just remove this country. You don't want the city. So you can see under each state what is a region, city-wise, state-wise sales, or you just want to see the state-wise sales. Cool. Okay, so this is like, you can do this particular kind of a drill options, or you can go to the granular reports. You can see the reports, the country wise, the state wise, the city wise, okay, region wise, how the sales been happen. You want to do this particular analysis. Yeah, exactly, this is where we do this analysis. Okay, so this is the purpose of doing this particular cleaning the data. So we saw in this particular session is data preparation. So we understood data preparation is just nothing converting your raw data to an analytics ready data, and we just saw this particular 4 options of converting it. So we saw the concept of identifying the headers, unpivoting the data. We saw with this identifying the null values, replacing the null with a 0. Okay, and also we saw how to use a split. Okay, I hope this session was informative. Okay, thank you.